Welcome back to The Relatable Black Girl, where I'm your host, Simone. And in this episode, I want to talk about forgiving yourself and being unapologetically you. I feel like at one point in my life, I was extremely hard on myself, and I had such a hard time with forgiving myself or showing myself grace. I would be like so disappointed. With other people, I could forgive them so easily, but when it came down to giving that same forgiveness to myself, it was very hard. And I know a lot of that came from like my childhood and like my upbringing. And I know the people around you don't want to make you feel like you're always doing something wrong. But when people aren't always acknowledging the things you do right, and they only point out the things you do wrong, I think that kind of made me feel like I wasn't like good enough, or like I just had a hard time forgiving myself because I felt like I was always doing something wrong. And it's definitely something I had to grow out of. And one thing that really helped me work on forgiving myself was, first of all, reminding yourself that you have to be the most important person to you. And I feel like that goes for everyone. And I don't mean that in a selfish way, because I know people have children and like you sacrifice or you do things for your kids, or maybe like your nieces, nephews, or just, people that you love. But I just think that it's really important to always make sure that you're okay so that you can show up for other people. Because I think that I wasn't pouring into myself. I was being very hard on myself. So I was trying to show up for others, but that was very difficult because I wasn't even showing up for myself. And I know we hear all the time, like, don't care what people think and this and that. But sometimes when people say things about you, that does like be in the back of your mind sometimes. And I had to like let my voice be the most important voice to me. Let what I think and how I feel come first, and stop trying to like cater to so many different people. Because a lot of people do things out of their own personal gain, for their own ego. People like people who make them feel comfortable. And that's okay. Nothing's wrong with that, especially when it comes down to certain settings and environments. Nothing's wrong with wanting to be around people that make you feel comfortable or safe or whatever. But sometimes you can't let what other people think or feel stop you from being you and expressing your feelings. And I just think that I've grown so much once I've forgiven myself. And I felt like I was able to love myself differently. And then like in return, I'm able to like love others differently too. And a lot of that came from forgiving myself for the mistakes that I have made in the past. Like sometimes I would find myself thinking of like mistakes that I made, things that I said, and I would be so upset with myself. I would be wishing that like I did this different or I did that different, or I'd be thinking like, okay, when this opportunity come up, I'm going to know the perfect thing to say. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, and it's just like, we can't change the past, and we cannot predict the future. Now, when I think of like old things that I might have said that I'm not too proud of, or maybe just silly things, because certain things that I was so like upset with myself were just like silly little kid stuff. I had this really crazy bio. Well, it wasn't really crazy, but it was like during MySpace days. And I like wrote out this long little like paragraph, and I like thought I was like so like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that. You guys, why I was at school one day and this guy started reciting what I wrote in my bio on MySpace. I deleted it that same day. I was so like embarrassed because I was kind of like, why did I even write like why did I even write that? You know, like just bored at home. And it's just like a silly thing, you know. But I would think about it sometimes and I would kind of be like upset with myself and then also upset with the person who learned it and recited it back to me. And mind you, he didn't recite back a lot. He just like recited like the first sentence because it was like a long ass paragraph that I wrote. But I would think about that a lot, and I would think about it from like a perspective of like, oh, well, I have to show him, like, you know, I'm not that person anymore. Like, I've grown up, I matured, and now I look at it and I laugh. I think about it and I laugh. I laugh so hard. I was just thinking about it when I was back home. You know, when I was back home, I was just thinking about it and just like to myself, I'm like, just so silly. But I'm able to think about mistakes that I made in the past or like see old pictures pop up. And I'd be like, girl, that wig was terrible. Wig ain't terrible no more. So whatever. Like, you know, I'd be like, look at the growth. Look how you used to look. Look at, you know, like how much progress you made being in the gym, how much you made on like your physical appearance. And just like I'll think about old situations sometimes and I'd be like, oh my God, I would handle that so differently now. I don't let my past make me feel ashamed or embarrassed because I just feel like everybody has their own testimony. We all have our own story and things that we have to overcome in life. And I think the most important thing to me is that I overcame it. I overcame it and I'm working hard to continue to just be in a positive space and to just like love myself and love the life that I create and be selective of the people who I allow into my life. And I'm proud of that. And it takes time. Like I didn't just forgive myself in a couple of days or even months. It took me years. It took me years on years to just grow and mature and learn lessons. And the only way you're going to learn is if you make mistakes. That's the only way that you're going to learn. And it's not the end of the world. If somebody doesn't like you or talk bad about you, your words mean something to you. They mean nothing to me, okay? You give people words importance. If you're around somebody, you give them importance to you. I'm not saying you give them importance as a person. We're all important as people. But it's like you give that person importance. If somebody's around me and they're talking this and that and just nonsense that I just don't agree with or I don't like, I don't have to confront them. I just don't. Their words are not important to me, and they're not somebody that I would listen to, or I'd be very selective of the advice that I take from this person. And I think that being able to forgive myself, being able to laugh at myself when I make mistakes, not being afraid to make mistakes has just helped me so much. I'm not always thinking of the right words to say or what am I going to do or being nervous when I come across certain situations. I just feel like in the moment, I know what to say and what to do because I know who I am as a person. Like I honestly believe that. Like there's no situation that I need to prepare myself for this. I always feel like I need to prepare myself. I need to prepare myself. And now it's like I don't have to prepare myself for anything because I know who I am as a person. I know what I feel like is right. I'm somebody with integrity. I'm somebody with morals and values. And I know when something is right and when something is wrong. Do I fall short sometimes? Yes, I fall short. And we're all going to fall short. But I think, hey, we're all human. And sometimes we get emotional, especially if you have other things going on in life. But I just feel more confident in who I am as a person. And I don't feel like I have to be walking on eggshells or, you know, I stay ready. So I don't ever have to get ready. And I just feel like forgiving myself is what has like led me down this road. And like I said before, I'm the most important person to me, because you really, really can't fill someone else's cup when your cup is empty. I was just thinking about all these old sayings that people would say to me. And of course, I understood what they were coming from. But until you actually go through it, you really you really don't understand the meaning, or like really hear them. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have to go through it and physically feel it. You have to physically feel it. Like, pour it into yourself, and then it's easier for you to pour into others and give to others. And it's just like, even with people talking, like, I cannot control what anybody says out of their mouth. You are allowed to say whatever you want, just like I'm allowed to say what I want too. I'm not just going to let somebody attack me and my person and who I am as like my character and not say anything back if it's in my face. But as far as like he said, she said, and rumors and things like that, it's like, hey, I just got to let people talk. If you're talking about me, trust me, I'm not talking about you. I'm not sitting around talking about you and your situation or whatever you got going on. I could care less. I have my own life that I'm focusing on and my own goals that I've set for myself. So I'm not going to be sitting around talking about you just because you're sitting around talking about me. Like, no, you're not Beyonce. So I just think that it's really, I just feel like that is one of the examples. Like, you hear older people say it all the time. Like, what do they be saying, y'all? They be like, what people say about you don't matter. And it does not. But it's like, you really just have to experience it for yourself. You have to just really love yourself unconditionally. Put yourself first. Really work towards being the person that you want to be. Show up for yourself. And be so sure and positive about who you are as a person. And I'm telling you, what people say does not matter. I think giving yourself grace is just really important. Just like, give yourself some grace. We all make mistakes. We all say things or do things, and it's like maybe like embarrassing in that moment, or people might laugh, or it might be like an awkward silence. But it's like, hey, every day really is a new opportunity for you to just like start over. And at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. We're all going to say things and do things that we are not proud of. But I think most importantly, it's like owning up to when you're wrong, but also like standing 10 toes down when you know you are right. It's very, very important to know the difference. I feel like I can only be myself, and the people who love me and care about me, they're going to allow me to be myself. They're not going to want to change me. They're going to give me space. They're going to give me grace. And I do the same. You know, I allow the people that I'm around to be who they are. And I'm not trying to change them. If I do give them advice or tell them something, it's coming from a place of like love. Like, it's really coming from a place of like, I love you. I care about you. I want you to be better. I want you to do better. So if you're listening to this podcast, give yourself some grace. Forgive yourself. Move on. You cannot change the past, and you cannot predict the future. And I know it's hard, and it takes time, you know. Things don't just happen overnight. I feel like I've worked very hard to be the person that I am, and it took me years on years to become who I am, trial and error. And I'm still working on me and working towards becoming the best version of myself. Like, I don't feel like the work is done. I'm Simone. This is the Relatable Black Girl. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I know I've been really inconsistent, but I just been having like a lot on my plate. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next time.